people, you know.
All right, at this time, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled committee of the whole meeting to order here in the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, held on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Village clock has it at 6:07 PM. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Present?
Trustee Mahoney is absent. Trustee Mueller.
Here.
Trustee Shaw.
Present.
Trustee Sullivan.
Here.
President Glatz.
Present.
Very good, we have a quorum. Item number 3, consider approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on December 19th, 2023. Is there such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Sullivan. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 3, Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Very good, motion carries. Item number 4, discuss amending Title 13, Chapter 132, Section 23 of the video gaming. Mr. Mayor, you want to take that?
Sure. It's just a simple fix that staff caught. It was on the way that when people sign up for, apply for terminals late in the year, and how it's prorated. That's all it was, just a proration.
Very good. Any questions from the committee? I see
The
none.
proration stays the same, it's just the way it was written, just rewriting
Cleaning it up.
the sentence, yep.
All right, cool. Very good. Is there a motion to move item number 4 to the village board?
I'll make a motion. I'll
Thank
second
you,
it.
Trustee Mueller. Thank you, Trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 4, Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Very good, motion carries. Item number 5, discuss changes to Title 11, Chapter 129F, residential rental license. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, another one, this is gonna be a two-part ordinance change. The first one, we're just doing the rental license fees. That will be effective January 1st of 2025. Just wanted to get that on the books a year ahead of time. So that everyone's, all the businesses are aware of the changes for people that have rentals. And then to get into the rest of it, the changes, I think Trustee Shaw and staff are going to be working on the actual physical ordinance of itself on some of the things that have to be changed, like inspections, and so forth. So this one is just for the licensing fees, so it's on the books for a year for next year, but.
Very good. Any questions from the committee? Trustee Shaw, you want anything?
I will just add that this is a good first step. I think there's a lot of work to be done here, but this is a really important first step to get this part of it correct, and then we can focus on the rest.
Very good. Is there a motion to move item number 5 to the village board?
I'll make the motion.
I will second it.
Thank you, Trustee Sullivan. Thank you, Trustee Shaw. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on item number 5?
Roll call for item 5, Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Very good, motion carries. Item number 6, discuss building code updates. Mr. Coleman?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Brennan. This code amendment is to clear up some language and to organize the code into very specific elements and code clarifications. Chapter 7 of Fire Code has some repetitive language and some code sections that are now addressed in the Model 2021 IFC code. I met with Fire Marshal Loreno and Fire Inspector Brett Ofdell several weeks ago to go over some language and also clarify sections of the fire code. The proposed amendment in front of you is a condensed code removing repetitive language and sections and clarify AHJ, authority holding jurisdiction titles, to Fire Marshal in lieu of Deputy Chief of Fire Prevention. This amended code also has a proposal to adopt the 2020 NEC and to also enhance a new state of Illinois statute enforceable since January 1 of 2024, requiring roughing conduit systems for possible new EV charging in new residential projects. Community Development Department is proposing a more enhanced system composing of a 60 amp circuit for a continuous 48 amp load in a 3/4 metallic conduit. The EV charging stations will also need to be in full compliance with Article 25 of this National Electrical Code 2020 if approved. I also have in the audience today Fire Marshal Steve Loreno to answer any more specific fire code questions along with myself.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Any questions from the committee for Mr. Coleman or Mr. Lorendo?
I did, and I just want to clarify a point action tonight from the cow. I was looking at the board agenda. I don't see that we're moving this to, this is a discussion point, right? We're not moving this to the board this evening? Or are we see it on the board agenda? Okay, all right. Then I will tell you what, I did have some questions, but nothing that I think would prevent us from moving forward with this. I'll just follow up with staff later on.
Very good. Okay. I think that's a good idea, Ken. Any other questions? There are none? Okay. We'll move on to item number 7. Discuss amendments to the civil service rules and regulations. Anna?
I will take that one. Thank you, Trustee Brennan. So over the last several years, while we continue to successfully hire new patrol officers through civil service, we still encounter many challenges. So as most of you are aware, we had finally developed a lateral hiring process, just after COVID to make sure that we had staffing levels up to par, as a lot of academies were closed and it was becoming harder and harder to try to continue to hire throughout COVID. So we had added that lateral process, which had been really successful for us, but even now we had a lateral test, or a lateral hiring register, I should say, excuse me, about a year ago, and we've already made it to the bottom of that register. So it just shows how quickly we are going through these lists trying to hire officers. The way I look at it, we're essentially always hiring for the police department. So one thing we would like to do is amend the rules and regs to allow for an ongoing open applicant pool for lateral hires. We think this will help instead of having to go through the process every time, which entitles bringing things before the commission, having to post for X amount of days, bringing it back to the commission, et cetera. There's a lot of moving pieces and behind the scene things that occur. So we want it to be just an ongoing open process. The commission will still review and approve or disapprove of candidates, so we're not changing anything in that regard, but it would just allow us some more flexibility for hiring. Second, what we would like to do is try to allow for more growth within the department as well. We have a lot of really, really great officers, and we're at the point now where we need to test for sergeant. Again, we've moved through that list pretty quickly as well, and we anticipate that there will be some more room for growth in the future. As we know on the board agenda tonight, we have a couple promotions. So now that we have added the laterals, this would be the first time that we have a sergeant promotional exam with laterals in the department. So what we would like to do is, right now you need 5 years of service as a police officer with the Village of Tinley Park to test for the sergeant exam. Laterals come in, you have to have at minimum 2 years of service. So what we would like to do is say that if you are a lateral and you have at minimum 3 years of service to equal that 5 years, that you can test for sergeant for the Village of Tinley Park. And then lastly, again, trying to continue to encourage growth within the department, we want to add 5 preference points to part-time patrol officers that may have interest in tests for an entry-level position with the village as well. There's other preference points that exist for certain, for military, things like that, so it's something that's in line with kind of what already exists, but just another way to try to encourage those who start with us part-time to join us full-time. So it's really those 3 main changes that have been discussed and reviewed with the commission and got their approval to bring before the board today. So we're just looking for feedback and ultimately motion on the board tonight to approve these changes.
Very good. Thank you, Anna. It's a good overview. My only question is, with regards to compensation, we have had a lot of our officers come to us with a lot of experience that may or may not be. Is there any way to fill the gap instead? Because I know a lot of these guys they don't want to take the position because they're taking a huge pay cut. Yeah. But they do have the experience. This may not just be with our department, but they do fit our age requirements. So is there, I'm not sure what the commission's rules are on that, but I know we talked about it. So.
It's a great point. It's definitely on the radar. What I can say is thankfully, we are a very well-paid department, probably one of the best in the
Right.
Chicago metro area,
Right.
so we at least have that going for us with a lot of overtime opportunities to try to make up some of those gaps. We have had officers definitely take waivers or decline because of where they're at in their careers, they would be taking a pay cut. That one, though, is outside of the civil service realm, that would have to be bargained.
Okay.
So it's on the radar, their contract is up here in the coming months, so it's something that will probably be on the table
Okay.
in the coming months.
Very good. Any questions from the rest of the committee?
Is this something that has been run past for the collective bargaining agreement? Are there any objections that have been raised?
We haven't necessarily brought it before the union because it's not in their contract, so we don't feel that it's something that would need to be, brought to the table in that regard.
I don't mean
It has been-
for their approval.
Sure.
I mean,
We have shared it with them.
if we're gonna hear a gripe, we may as well hear it up front.
Yeah, sure. We have shared it. The police department actually had an all-staff meeting last week, so Pat and I shared the news with them. And we've had a lot of discussion with chief as well, so command staff's very supportive of all these changes.
Very good. Any other questions from the committee?
I do. Was I right that, Chief, you agree with?
Yes,
Okay,
very much
I
so.
just wanted to,
No, very much
I
so.
wanted to hear.
Very good. Is there, if there's any other comments, is there a motion to move this one to the village board?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, trustee Brady. Is there a second? Thank you, trustee Sullivan. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 7, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Very good, that motion carries. Item number 8, discuss amendments to the regional Oaklan water agreement. Pat?
Yep. So what you have before you is the third amended agreement of the Oaklan Regional Water System. We're adding 3 new towns to it, or we already had a couple, but now they're going to pay some of their back pay that they didn't when their contract lapsed. So they're officially coming on board into the agreement, so that'll help spread some of the costs across those 3 suburbs that'll be joining, so.
Very good. Excellent. Thanks, Pat. Any questions from the committee?
I just want to clarify my understanding of a point there. This is brought before us because all members have to officially approve it as a member, not just us. And secondarily, just the logistics of the flow, this doesn't go through us, like physically, it's coming through Oaklawn and going to them, it's not coming
Infrastructure
through us.
itself, you're saying?
Yes,
Correct.
okay,
Yep.
that's it. That's what I thought, just wanted to confirm.
Is there a motion to move item number 8 to the village board?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. Thank you, trustee Shaw. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on item number 8?
Roll call for item 8, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Very good, motion carries. Item number 9, discuss multi-use path extension project at 84th Avenue and 179th Street. John?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. For those of you aware of this project, this has been going on for the last few years. We've been working on grant project process. We've been working with ComEd because it is underneath their right-of-way and the wetlands as this proposal is put in front of you. The Wetlands Bank requires a 2-to-1 purchase of the replacement of .948 acres of wetlands that this path is going to cause at the cost of $130,000 per acre. The village's total cost for their credits would be $123,240. We need a 20% deposit in the amount of $24,648 to Libertyville Township, who has the bank that we're looking to purchase. The remaining 80% will be due upon receipt of the Army Corps permit. The 80% is actually being covered by the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program, which is the grant we applied for. So ultimately, our cost for this land bank will only be the 20% cost of the just over $24,000. Looking for committee approval and move to the board.
Very good. Thank you, John. Any questions from the committee for John?
Yeah, John, maybe to clarify in my head or the way this was written, that's right where I live, 84th Avenue to 179th. Those are crossroads right there. So exactly, is this going to run from 179th up to 183rd, or is it gonna, it's at the crossroads, it's a cross-section. That's
So-
what I can't get over my head.
So the beginning from north to south will occur at the 179th Street interchange where the walking path is, just south of the water tower there. And it'll be running south along the backside of that development. And then as you get closer to the other wetlands and the dog park, it'll start to run westbound to the north of Dog Park where it connects to 84th Avenue.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? I see none. Is there a motion
I'll make a motion.
to move item number 9? Thank you, trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, trustee Sullivan. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 9, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Very good. That motion will carry. Item number 10, receive comments from the public. Is there anyone who would like to address the committee of the whole? I see none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
Thank you, trustee Sullivan. Thank you, trustee Shaw. Madam Clerk, please call the roll for adjournment.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Very good. That motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:23 PM.